Undeclared wars are commonplace. Tragically, our government engages in preemptive war, otherwise known as aggression, with no complaints from the American people. Sadly, we have become accustomed to living with the illegitimate use of force by government. To develop a truly free society, the issue of initiating force must be understood and rejected.
What if sometimes, to love your country, you had to alter or abolish the government? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong? What if it is better to perish fighting for freedom than to live as a slave? What if freedom's greatest hour of danger is now?
Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski joins us now. Colonel Karen, a pleasure, my dear friend. Thank you very much for joining us. Isn't it fair to say that the United States has been continuously at war since 1947, the creation of the national security state, if you count the wars that the CIA has fought without revealing, and the wars that the military has fought and lost with revealing?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And I used to not think that. I mean, I used to not think of it in those terms. I used to think we had these little blow-ups, these little activities that the government needed to get involved in order to pursue, anti-communism or shared democracy. That was a long time ago when I thought that, because that's what we're taught. But it's one continual thing. It is the machine. It's the war machine feeding itself, nourishing itself on the blood of Americans, and of course on the controlling and taking the resources of the world wherever it can. So it's a money-making operation, and it has been in operation since at least 1947. But I think when we created the national security state with that National Security Act that formed the Pentagon and officialized the CIA, what we did at that point then was we took it away from the people of this country through elections, through the use and the work of their senators and their representatives, and we put it into basically a privately managed corporation, the in crowd. It's that same club that George Carlin talked about. It's a big club and you're not in it. And that's that club. So it's a war club.
The war club, now headed by Pistol Pete, figuratively and literally. But sometimes the war club is just expenditure of money. It doesn't achieve any good. I mean, look at what the Gulf states have learned in the past few weeks. They've learned that the United States won't defend them.
No, I never intended to. That's what's good about this wake-up call for those countries. They help the United States, the wealthy ones, in purchasing, committing to purchase and purchasing in the past numerous decades, American equipment, American technology, American products. They purchased these products at a premium. They didn't get a good deal. It wasn't a competitive market. They were paying top dollar for American products because the idea was they would be American allies and America would stand up for its allies. And, we've screwed over, our government has screwed over so many groups of people and countries the past 60, 70 years that they should have known better, but they didn't. They didn't know better. And I think they were honestly surprised. I mean, you take Bahrain, Qatar, our military bases that we have in those places. We abandoned those bases. We took the soldiers, most of them, and put them in hotels, which then became Iranian targets because Iran's intel is as good as anybody else's. They knew where the Americans were staying. So not only do we not defend them, we never intended to defend anything in those countries. It's one thing to say that Israel has nothing but pure contempt for their Arab neighbors. I think that's a fair statement. And the Arab countries pretty much know that. But they did not realize that that same can be said for America, for Washington, D.C. We have nothing but pure contempt for them. They know it now. And I don't believe that we will be invited back in.
Your recent piece of Judge Knapp and Lou Rockwell argues that one of the good things that will come from this war is the loss of U.S. hegemony in the Middle East. Who's going to fight Israel's wars for them?
Well, I think this is the question that Iran is interested in focusing a little bit, because it's pretty clear that without the United States, Israel was fighting no wars, not in the past 30 years. And there was a great discussion by Dr. Sachs. You've had him on. He may have said it here too, but he was on the Duran just yesterday, I think. And he walked through the clean break strategy, which is something that I became aware of in the Pentagon, 25 years ago. And turns out, even though it was published in 1998, it was kind of Bibi Netanyahu's campaign focus even 10 years before that. So we've had 30 years of an idea of Israel's expansion and hegemony that isn't done by Israel by itself. It is Israel must, in order to proceed this way, they must leverage American military might. They must leverage American political might. And so they've done a great job at doing that. But yeah, without the United States, Israel would be largely contained. We have enabled this, just like we shot up that girls' school with our Tomahawk missiles. We have enabled it. We continue to enable it. If we're not there, if we're not participating, I think Israel would be contained.
But can we ever abandon Israel given the control that the Zionists have over the American government? And look at AIPAC financing the campaigns of more than 2/3 of the House and the Senate.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is financing. But the thing is, now we're talking about it. I think even 5 years ago, we weren't really talking about how many of our congressmen and senators were getting really important amounts of financing from AIPAC. When you're running a congressional race, a senatorial race costs more, but a congressional race, you can win that with some difference of, $500,000. In a lot of these smaller districts, that is the game changer. So they can buy our representatives very cheaply, and they've been doing it for decades. But now we can talk about it. Now there are organizations that track it. There are candidates, numerous candidates across the country who are specifically saying, if you don't like this, you can vote for me because I don't take their money. I don't take their war money. I'm not bought and paid for by a foreign government. That's quite a popular message. So we are fighting back from that. We are undermining it. And of course, AIPAC itself is aware that anything with AIPAC on it is kind of poison right now. So they are encouraging their supporters, Zionist Americans, to try to donate directly. Here, we'll give you a list. Why don't you just donate directly? But that won't have as much power. So that's a good thing. Also, Zionist Israelis, many of them are trying to get on airplanes. They're trying to leave the country. Many of them left the country after June. But as a result of this thing, that number is actually getting smaller, not because they're being killed, but because they are choosing to reject the dangerous aspects of being a devout Zionist, which is you're going to get killed. You're going to have your city destroyed because, your choice of ally, America, did not logistically plan, okay, because we're led by idiots in this country, and that's fine. But also your people, your own people are not built to be attacked back. And I hate to say this, but, Israel has been in a state of war with its neighbors for such a long time, but they like any bully, they like shooting at people who can't shoot back. And they're getting a little taste of their own medicine. And it turns out nobody likes that. Jewish Israelis do not like that. Even Zionists who embrace war don't like it when war comes to their doorstep.
Well, of course not. Do we know how badly Israel's been damaged? Because Aaron Mate is telling us that the Israeli censors have clamped everything down.
Yeah, I think we could have got a hint even on the first day. And I noticed this, and I'm not an expert on any of this, but I noticed that whenever something got through in the first 3 days, they kept saying it landed in an open field. And I live in an open field, so I know what an open field is. And so in my mind, landing in an open field didn't make a lot of sense in a very urbanized, society and geography that we have in Israel. but they kept saying that. And I think, and then of course we've got images of, the news, the media being silenced. We've got pictures of IDF soldiers ripping off street cameras, taking them down. They don't want that information to get out. But the airports are full. Ben Gurion is filled with Jews trying to leave. And that makes sense because in a war zone, of course, anybody, look at Ukraine. Nobody likes war. They don't like to be in it. They may like to talk about it from far away, from a safe space, but they don't like to be in it. So this is shocking. I think it must be very shocking for Israel. I think in particular.
Here is Senator Richard Blumenthal, who's the sidekick of Senator Lindsey Graham. Not that they vote alike, but they are the same on war, and they do travel together. Having just left one of the secret briefings that members of Congress get that they're not supposed to tell everybody else about, complaining that Russia is helping Iran. Watch this, number 25.
There is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives. Literally, Russia seems to be aiding our enemy actively and intensively with intelligence and perhaps with other means. And China also may be assisting Iran.
A minute. Aren't we assisting Ukraine to kill Russian troops?
Yeah, we are providing the surveillance and the targeting for the deep strikes. Almost every deep strike that has gone from Ukraine into Russia deeply or into Belarus, we provided all that. And we're still doing it. And Trump's been doing it. This is the thing, Trump was going to end that war, but he never did. He never ended the targeting assistance. So we've been doing it. It's okay when we do it. The other thing is, this Russophobia actually is another problem that we have in DC. Russia's doing it. Actually, the country that's been doing it and is still doing it and doing it even more effectively is China. And that's all in the open press. China is sharing their satellite imagery, which is, it's not even classified, but it's very, very good. And they're making sure that is available. So,
China is sharing satellite imagery of American and Israeli troops with Iran.
Yes, and also the whole region. I mean, targeting information, movements, right. Everything, and they can also get. I mean, they can use that like anybody would use it, like we would use it to determine your battlefield damage assessment, of course, which you want to do. So, but again, we hate Russia so much. Russia's the bad guy. We can't say too much about China because China. I don't even know what's going on with China. We just took the Patriots out of Korea to send them in to be destroyed by Iran in the Middle East. I don't know. I don't understand the strategy of this war out of Washington. I mean, they're not even talking to each other. They're not talking to people in the same room with them. The message is not consistent. Trump he's got all these different things. He says one thing, he's going to build back better Iran, and then Hegseth says, no, we're not nation building, we're destroying.
Were you surprised that President Putin took President Trump's phone call yesterday? I mean, why would he give credence to anything that comes out of the mouth of Donald Trump or his administration, particularly those two real estate agents that go over there and try and shake him down periodically?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of the you would never turn down an opportunity to gather intelligence, especially if you're Putin, because he was an intelligence guy. So I'm sure he's very interested in speaking with anybody who calls him, and certainly Donald Trump. He has he's talked to Donald Trump many times before, and he studied him, of course, as all major nations of the world have studied our president, past and present. You want to know how America is thinking, how the American government is calculating, why are they doing what they're doing, how are they doing it. So, I've seen a reason why he would turn it down. It's an intel gathering opportunity, but no. I mean, there is no way in the world that Witkoff and Kushner can be deployed anywhere out of this country ever again. They have so little credibility in everything that they've done. And this has been confirmed certainly with this.
But what have they achieved? Nothing other than maybe bringing some intel back to the White House, when the White House has superior sources for the gathering of intel than these two.
Well, yeah, and also to gather intel and to bring data, even to know what data to bring back, it is a matter of some qualification, some sophistication, and for an intelligence officer, you would want that person to be trained. So you've got these guys who are real estate agents and financiers. So the kind of thing they're focused on is what they've known, not what they're doing now. They have, it's a joke to think that these guys are diplomats. They're not diplomats. And to the extent that they're representing Donald Trump, they're representing the family profiteering and the real estate businesses, which continue, while he's president. Those are the interests that they represent to foreign countries, and that's the kind of information they'll bring back to him. Even if they could bring intelligence back, they don't know what to make of it. They are really again, it's nuts. I don't know any other country in the world that would do something like that would send guys like that to represent the highest voice, the person who has the ear of the president. I don't get it.
Why did we invade Iran?
Well, you mean why we attacked them, or are we going to invade them?
Well, why did we attack them?
Oh yeah, well,
what is Trump's true but unstated motivation in your
view?
His
true but unstated motivation is to control every bit of oil that moves out, and other important materials, fertilizer, and all kinds of things, gas that move in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. That he wants to own that prime real estate. It is very prime real estate, and he wants to own it. Now he doesn't own it. He has no ability to take it by force, but this is what he wants to do. And he wants to do it, I think, really because China is the next focus. And that is what he wrote in his national security strategy. We're shifting away from Europe. We're not going to worry about Russia. Russia will be our friend. We can manage Russia. India will be our friend. We can do India. And what we need to do is be able to get China to bend the knee. Get China to subordinate its policies to the global unipower, which in Trump's mind has to be the United States. So this is about managing China in the long run, controlling energy flows. And it's also about profiting and profiteering, which we're actually seeing so much leaking out from the various Trump appointees, the Department of Energy guy, Bessent, idiot brain Lindsay, what is he saying? Oh, we can make a lot of money here. If we could just control that 31% of the oil and gas going through the Strait of Hormuz, my goodness, we'll make so much money. We'll take the cream off the top, and charge fees to everybody. And this will, pay off our debt or something. But nobody wants to pay the debt off. This will enrich us and our friends. That's really what they're saying. And I think Trump views that as a worthy goal. He wants to sit atop that fantastical global economic situation. He wants to be the man in charge of it. He's not going to be. He is unable to process information anymore. I think he's lost it. And
but Colonel, he said yesterday that we've won the war.
Yeah. Well, he needs an off ramp. I mean, if saying we won the war and leaving will work, I'll take it. But he's not. He has no idea.
Doesn't a war like this?
He has no idea what he's done.
Doesn't a war like this reveal how weak we are economically, militarily, diplomatically?
Yeah, it really does. And this is the problem that large states like the United States have. When a large state or an empire can choose wars. That's what they do. That's by definition what a powerful state might choose to do, or an empire like we are. We choose wars. But then you say, well, what are we trying to prove? Well, we're trying to prove how tough we are, how big we are, how scared you ought to be of us. That's why you would choose a war. You don't choose a war that has a possibility that within 5 days reveals every possible tactical and strategic weakness that you have, every logistical gap that you have and you can't fill, and you put yourself out there. The whole world's, my God, Russia and China, I would, they got to be loving it. They got to be loving it.
Well, Russia's making a lot of money off the increase in the value and the cost of oil.
Yeah, they're making some money. I mean, they're going to make a little bump up. Ultimately, if it stays closed for a long time, then that's good, and it gives Russia leverage to control it. I mean, Europe is really the ones who are suffering even more. I mean, when this administration is over, if Trump's still alive, we should put him on the couch and find out why he truly hates Europe so badly, because I think he hates Europe more than he hates Iran.
You think you'd get a truthful word out of his mouth?
No, we wouldn't probably do it, but he has hurt Europe immensely by this war of choice, these attacks on Iran, because not only is Europe filled with immigrants who have ties to the region, and also constitute, in many of the countries of Europe, they constitute an underclass, so they feel that things aren't right, and then they see this and this, what we're doing, and it makes them angry. But the other thing is, Europe has backed itself into an energy corner that it can't get out of. And now the catbird seat, the person sitting in the catbird seat is Vladimir Putin. And he's saying, no, I don't think we're going to turn the oil and gas back on. I don't think we need to do that. We've got new markets and we're going to use those. Right. Europe's on their own. So it's a disaster for Europe and for us.
Here's an interesting montage of Vice President Vance during the campaign and Donald Trump last week. Number 23, Chris.
Sleepwalking us into war with Iran, it's like the dumbest of all possible worlds.
Operation Epic Fury. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran.
It would be huge distraction of resources. It would be massively expensive to our country.
One of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives.
I think we should be very strongly encouraging the Iranians, and we just have to be smarter.
We knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building.
America doesn't have to constantly police every region of the world.
Combat operations continue.
One, we would save a lot of money.
Until all of our objectives are achieved.
Our interest, I think, very much is in not going to war with Iran.
Chris threw in your favorite senator from South Carolina there at the end. Not a very flattering picture of him. But, these guys, I don't know where Vance is today. I guess he's a team player.
Yeah.
But Trump has changed 180 degrees. I don't know where Tulsi Gabbard is today. She was fabulous before she was in this administration. She's been silent since the war started, publicly, since the war started.
Yeah, that's true. Vance it's unfortunate for Vance. If he had stayed on the path of his rhetoric from the campaign, which was accurate, it was popular in this country, it's the right answer. We don't need to be policing the world. We need to take care of our country and really be the country that we say we are, which is a country that celebrates liberty and sovereignty. So if he had kept with that and not compromised himself or hooked his harness with Trump, he could have been the next president, and he could have been an important American political revival figure, I think. But he's lost all credibility at this point, and so now the flip-flopping that is who was it that flip-flopped all the time? We used to talk about flip-flopping. Our main flip-flopper is the vice president. He has flipped from a constitutional perspective to a pro-war lackey.
I don't know how he can have a political career.
No, I don't think so.
Defend this administration. If he had stayed in the Congress and the Senate from Ohio and stuck to his guns, he'd be leading more than half the Republican Party right now.
That's right, and some of the Democrat senators as well, because he is a younger guy. He speaks to the independents. And the message that he has is shared across both parties, just not the top leadership of the party. So yeah, Vance. You can't see what it could have, should have, but it would have been nice if Vance had stayed in the Senate. It would have been a lot better for this country, because he would have been a little bit more free to speak his mind. But he's compromised and he's damaged goods. I don't see a political career for him afterwards. Not a successful one.
Agreed. Here's Trump using a four-letter word, which we had to bleep out, but boasting about what he's been able to get away with.
No, I don't want to brag, but you know, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of the shit I'm doing.
And the crowd ate it up. That was the House Republicans at their annual retreat at one of Trump's hotels.
Goodness gracious.
So the taxpayer dollars paid the president for all of their expenses down there. You can't make this stuff up. I won't use the word that he just used about what you can't make up, but it's in the same category of nonsense. Karen, thank you very much, my dear friend. Always a pleasure. Yes. We love posting your articles, and I love reading them and love interviewing you. Keep them coming. We'll see you again soon. Absolutely. Thank you, Judge. You're welcome. Coming up tomorrow, here at 8 in the morning, Gilbert Doctorow. At 10 in the morning, Professor Glenn Deason. At 2 in the afternoon, Pepe Escobar. At 3 in the afternoon, the great Phil Giraldi. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.